What up, what up, what up, what up? What's going on, everybody? I'm Ari Temkin. This is Showtime on Phantom, and we've got breaking news at the top of the show today. As expected, Cole Beasley is gone. Cowboys lose an extremely important component of their offensive attack, whether you agree with that or not. He was instrumental in the Cowboys' success really the last 3 years. Certainly didn't get the type of targets that maybe he wanted this past year. There's a bunch of reasons for it. Maybe Dez Bryant, as Charlie Casserly suggested yesterday. But it's officially done. Cole Beasley signs with the Buffalo Bills. He gets $29 million over 4 years, but will get $17 over the first 2 years of his deal with Buffalo, with $14.5 guaranteed. So you know it's official. The Cowboys were interested. In fact, what we heard from Jane Slater on this was how far apart were Dallas and Buffalo? Really far. Cowboys' final offer, I'm told, was roughly 18 over 3. Beasley will see most of his money in the first 2 seasons with the Bills. Averaged roughly 58 balls in 4 seasons with Dak, looking closer to 75 in Buffalo. So Cowboys made an offer, not nearly as competitive as the $29 million that he ends up getting, with about $17 million roughly of that guaranteed. So a good deal for Cole, pretty much what he was looking for. People laughed at him, that said that that's not what you're going to get, and clearly there was interest at that level from teams. Buffalo was certainly one of them that we thought, and so Buffalo improves by signing John Brown from the Arizona Cardinals, and now they add Cole Beasley to the mix. So, you know, certainly it was expected, I think, in many regards, that Beasley would be gone. He probably paved his own path out of Dallas with some of his comments after the season, and now it's official. On the Dallas Cowboys America's team page, and I see people starting to flood in, so bring those comments, get to them. I'll get to them as quickly as I possibly can. I'm Ari Temkin. This is Showtime on Phantom. You can catch me here every single day, starting at noon Central right here on Phantom, or you can catch me tonight 7 to 8:30, an abbreviated version of the KNC Masterpiece on 105.3 The Fan, and then the rest of this week 7 to 11 on 105.3 The Fan. Ryan Fitz on the Dallas Cowboys America's team page says, this organization's gone completely off the rails, letting players slip away. Romo, Dez, Beasley, probably Byron Jones too. This is all to appease a quarterback who's just bad. How many scapegoats are there going to be? Everyone realizes that Dak's the problem. Don't agree with that, but I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. As I'll continue to say, I think Dak Prescott has shown at the worst he's an average quarterback. At worst, he's average. So, like, at best, he's 11th, 12th amongst quarterbacks in the NFL, right? But that is what we've seen throughout the course of his career. He's better than 15 other quarterbacks in the NFL. He's an average starter at best. Now, he can at some point get better. Maybe there's a ceiling on him, top 10, maybe top 5, probably not, but maybe. But, you know, I think after 3 seasons, what we've learned from him is that he's average. Brian Sexton says it's pretty bad when the only thing Dallas has done is sign a baseball player. What's next? They're going to sign a ping pong player to play defensive tackle? Yeah, I actually thought it was the guy that Jeff Daniels played in that show Newsroom. Cody McAvoy or something like that. Wasn't that his name? Or the actor, James McAvoy? But yeah, they signed a baseball player. And so, Brian Sexton, your point is well stated. Chris Johnson says it is what it is. All right, Tracy Foster in the house, Michael Lafferty, Danny Easley. Danny Easley says average quarterbacks are signing 4-year, $88 million deals. And I would put Nick Foles at the below average category. He's had a obviously above average type playoff, but I mean, he's through a larger prism or sample size, he's a below-average quarterback. Mark Potta in the house. Neil Favre, Dallas with all their all-in moves. And look, the big story today is certainly about this, and I understand the frustration from Cowboys Nation, rightfully so. I mean, this is a organization that's been selling its fans on going all in, on being close. But the question I'd like to answer, and that's the big story today, is are they one player away? Are they? Do we feel like they have enough talent where they add an Earl Thomas and all of a sudden now that takes them over the top? Are they truly one player away? Make sure to hit the Share button if you have not yet already. Michelle Mawson on the Dallas Cowboys Americas team page says, "Oh my God, I'm so disappointed to hear this. I really liked Beasley. Super sad to see him go. Good luck to him." Yeah, look, I think he was a very underappreciated component to the Cowboys' success. As I've stated before, you look at his yardage, and that doesn't exactly give you a good indicator of the type of guy he was, type of player he was. He was a first down machine. Had a large percentage of his catches were for first downs. He was a good safety valve for Dak Prescott, a familiar target for Dak Prescott, and now you look at the unfamiliarity with Dak Prescott with the receiving corps. The only guy that's remaining on this roster that was with Dak his rookie year, aside from Jason Witten, but at the wide receiver position specifically, is Noah Brown. So, there's a lot of, last year they brought in new people, then obviously Amari Cooper midseason, so it's the same kind of thing, and, it's difficult to look at the way this thing has gone down so far and think that the Cowboys are better right now than they were when the season ended, right? I mean, every indication is they're not better, they're worse. They bring back Jason Witten, that helps, but you lose Cole Beasley. And now are they going to be able to re-sign DeMarcus Lawrence? I mean, obviously I think they will, but so far the way this offseason's gone, it's pretty much exactly as we expected it, despite what maybe Jerry Jones has said or others have said. All right, your feelings on the loss of Cole Beasley. Again, I think he's very underappreciated. I think replacing him is not going to be as easy as everybody expects it to be. Will the Cowboys do that in the draft? Will they do that through Allen Hurns, who they've picked up his option, and he's been a slot receiver over the course of his career. Different skill set than Cole Beasley. So it's going to be interesting to see. Here's Cole. He tweeted out, "I'll always love Cowboy Nation, and I appreciate the time we had together. Thanks to the Jones family for giving me a shot. Excited for this new journey. Can't wait to get started in Buffalo. Let's go. Hashtag Bills Mafia." And the first response is from some dude that says, "Thank Tony, he made you." Esteban Moreno, how much input does Dak have in this decision? To cut ties with Cole Beasley? I'd say 0, maybe a little bit. But yeah, no, I don't think he's got much in terms of say when it comes to roster makeup. I mean, I know he didn't last year because Scott Linehan took the reins over and basically said, "I don't need any number ones. We'll just go with the guys we have, and everybody will be a number one. It'll be interchangeable." I bet you if Dak Prescott had been asked about that, he probably would have said, "No, I don't think that's a good idea. I'd like a true number one, please. Thanks. That's going to put me in the best position to be successful." So perhaps they asked him and he's like, "Sure." I mean, he just went with the company line. But my expectation is they didn't, because I know that he had a good relationship with Cole Beasley, and obviously a good familiarity. And yeah, Tavon Austin isn't signed yet, although he has been in Dallas at the Star working out. So that's kind of interesting for somebody that may intend to sign elsewhere. He's been working out at the Cowboys facility, and look, Tavon Austin, I just don't know what expectations are for him. He's not the same kind of player. He's not a slot receiver like a Cole Beasley. He's more of a take the top off kind of outside guy. They want to use him in a bunch of different ways. The web back, we heard them call it this past off season, and look, he's always had injury concerns over the course of his career. He's just not going to play in 16 games, and aside from that, he's not a Beasley replacement. He doesn't have the same skill set as Cole Beasley. I certainly hope he doesn't, because I hope they don't expect that, because he's a different player. All right, on the Dallas Cowboys Americas team page, Mary Edwards Wright says, "Beasley did well for us, but at the end of the day, this is a business, and Beasley's business was needed elsewhere. Thank you for a good run." Yeah, again, the specifics of the deal, we're looking at a deal that's paying him $29 million over 4 years. He gets $17 million over the first 2 years of the deal, with $14.5 guaranteed. Most likely, though, with it being the first 2 years of the deal with the $17 million, he'll probably get all that. So yeah, with the Cowboys apparently coming in at 3 years, $18 million, pretty competitive offer, but clearly not in the same realm of what Beasley was looking for and ended up getting. And we laughed at him when we thought, oh, he wants $20 million guaranteed, and he's going to basically end up getting that. William White says Tyrell Williams is still available. Yeah, I'd love the Cowboys to sign Tyrell Williams. I don't think that's going to happen. I've obviously spent a lot of time this offseason talking about that, and I just still don't think it's going to happen. But here's my question, and I see everybody commenting. Kevin Couch, what up? Kevin, how are you? Quincy Wheeler says we should have kept Switzer. The thing is, Switzer's more like Tavon Austin, insofar as, punt returner, kick returner guy. He wasn't a slot receiver, and especially not what they wanted him to do. And, I think we'll have to see what the Cowboys end up doing at that position. And if they invest draft capital into it, or if they, do end up spending some money in the bargain bin and free agency on it, maybe Golden Tate, I don't know. If this team was trying to get better this offseason, which I'm assuming they were, I don't know that they have, and maybe they figured the only way that they were going to actually get better was through re-signing the guys they wanted to, which did not include Beasley, and, Kellen Moore for Scott Linehan, that changeover. Eric Sharp says these free agent signings are ridiculous. These free agent signings are getting out of hand. So many guys making ridiculous deals, causing prices to skyrocket. They're going to need to double the salary cap at this rate. Well, and that's why you can certainly make the argument that the Cowboys' approach in free agency isn't wrong, right? It's not wrong because guys at this part of the free agency period are getting overpaid. You're paying a premium to be getting guys in the first couple of days of free agency, and Cowboys in the last 5-6 years have sort of let the market come to them. And again, I think there are areas in which that makes sense, and then there are other areas where it's like, I don't know if that makes so much sense. But here's the question I want to ask, and keep those Cole Beasley comments coming. I think this is a tough loss. We'll see what they do to replace that position. It was obviously, the Cowboys have a strict, this is where we're going to go, and we're not going any higher. They were a lot less than where the Bills ended up at. I mean, $18 million over 3 years is what we heard from Jane Slater. So, $18 million over 3 versus, the 4 years at 29 with 17 guaranteed. The first couple of seasons, a little bit different of a story there. So, all right, there's Jane Slater. How far apart were Dallas and Buffalo? Really far. Cowboys' final offer, I'm told, was roughly 18 over 3. Cole will see much of his money in the first 2 seasons with the Bills, average roughly 58 balls. Looking closer to 75. And again, this is what he said too, right? Like, it's not just about the money; it's also about the amount of, the amount of balls I'm going to get. So he's going to get more balls. Cole Beasley, more balls. But here's my question to everybody. So we see everybody making moves. The Redskins have made moves. The Giants have made moves. The Redskins have made moves. The Eagles have made moves. So the question here is, has the NFC East gotten better in the last 24 hours? The Cowboys have probably gotten worse from a personnel standpoint. We assume they got better with losing Scott Linehan, adding Kellen Moore. We just assume that. I do. I don't know if you do, but I certainly do. And by the way, if you're commenting, post your comments wherever you are, and I'll try to find them as quickly as I possibly can. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough loss. The breaking news is that Cole Beasley is gone. He signs a 4-year contract worth $29 million, 17 of that guaranteed in the first 2 years. Not guaranteed, but $17 million over the first 2 years, pretty much guaranteed. So, post yes or no. Good move, bad move for the Cowboys to let Beasley walk. So again, and Brian Sexton, do you think that Cedric Wilson could slide into the slot receiver position? Yeah, certainly. But there's just not a lot of success for rookies stepping in and having success in the NFL at the receiver position. And even though Cedric Wilson will be coming into his second year, he hadn't played all last year, so he's still technically a rookie. So there are just a lot of pieces and nuance to learn. And this is a guy that quite frankly, wasn't exactly a shoo-in to make the team, even if he had stayed healthy. It certainly worked to his advantage where the Cowboys can then IR him. But from a numbers perspective, it certainly looked, especially at the outset, like he wasn't going to make the team. All right, so here's the question. One, do you like the move? Do you like the Cowboys not paying for Cole Beasley? And two, has the division gotten better? So the Redskins added Landon Collins at $14 million annually. They also don't really know what the future of Alex Smith is, so they have now Colt McCoy and Case Keenum competing for the quarterback spot. Okay? They lost Preston Smith and they lost Jamison Crowder. Jamison Crowder's been one of their most productive receivers the last few years, and Preston Smith's been one of their most productive pass rushers. So they lose Preston Smith and Jamison Crowder. They add Landon Collins. Have the Redskins gotten better? No. 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 Have you seen their quarterback situation? And they basically said we'd rather play the safety than pay the pass rusher? Redskins have not gotten better. They're bad. They're still bad. They remain bad. How about the Eagles? Have the Eagles gotten better? That's a freaky clown. So they added Deshaun Jackson. They made a trade and brought back Deshaun Jackson. Division didn't get any better, but Dak is still Dak, so we're an 8-8 team unless we get lucky in a couple of games. Interesting. So Kent Ketchum is not a Dak fan, apparently. I mean, it's funny that it's so obviously staring everybody in the face, and everybody's like, no, the problem's Dak. And it's like, no, the problem's they're kind of better. The Eagles probably, and Deshaun Jackson, they've got weapons. The biggest thing that we need to figure out with the Eagles is the health of their quarterback. Because Carson Wentz has played in 16 games once. Last year he missed 5 games, the final 5 games of the season. The year before that he missed 3 games, the final 3 games of the year. So as much as people complain about Dak Prescott, availability is line 1 in terms of being a quality starting quarterback in the NFL. If you're not available, it doesn't matter how good you are, what kind of stats you put up. Dak Prescott's been available. That's a very important component that clearly has eluded the Eagles. So Dak Prescott's appeared in every possible game that he could. So he's reliable. Carson Wentz is not. So Eagles have gotten better, but the biggest question about the Eagles is Carson Wentz and can he stay healthy? Because it doesn't really matter how good the Eagles are. They have a lot of good players, good coaching staff. They've got everything they need except for the ability for their starting quarterback to prove that he can stay healthy towards the end of the year. He played 16 games his rookie year, but that's a different offense and a different style. Now he's played in 13 and 11 in back-to-back years. So until he proves he can play in 16, how much better are the Eagles? And then there's the Giants, who've done nothing except improve their offensive line while downgrading their defensive line. They traded Olivier Vernon, and they got Kevin Zeitler, good offensive lineman. They lose Olivier Vernon. So are the Giants better? No. And Eli Manning's still their quarterback, probably the worst quarterback in the division. And that's counting Case Keenum or Colt McCoy. So has the division gotten better? I don't know. I think the Eagles and Cowboys are still the 2 best teams, and the biggest question mark about the Eagles is can their quarterback stay healthy? So everybody's like, oh, everybody in the NFC East is improving and getting better. And it's like, I don't see how any of these teams are better other than the Eagles, who, again, we're still waiting to see if they could have their quarterback stay healthy, which is, very, very important. So, the Giants have shown the last couple of years, you win in March, you're not exactly winning in December and January, right? Giants have spent big in free agency in recent years, and it's led to people believing they'd be better than they actually are, and they still don't have a good offensive line. They spent a bunch of money on Soldier last year. That didn't work. So, I know that Cowboys fans are frustrated with the fact that their team is sort of not doing anything, and you're constantly seeing news about all these different players signing in different spots. And I get that frustration, but at the same time, are the Redskins better? No. I mean, they lose their best pass rusher and they add a very expensive safety. Well, what good is a great safety if you don't have any pass rush? Efren Marino says Dak is not good. 5-yard passes doesn't cut it available, doesn't win Super Bowls. Okay, Efren. There's ample evidence that suggests that your point is wrong, is incorrect. So I can lead you to water, but I can't make you drink, man. Jim, he is at worst average. Dak Prescott is at worst average. And I'd say at this point, that's pretty much what you could. I've said I think he's probably between, if you rank the quarterback, he's probably between 11 and 15. Average. He's average. Jim Totino says Dak's fine and will be better this year. Offensive line was not set up to par last season with Cooper and Gallup being much better with more time with Dak. Receiving core will be better. Yeah, but you're just assuming the offensive line is better. So why are you assuming the offensive line is better? Because, Tyron Smith is not going to be better. That's a major concern. Aside from Zach Martin and Travis Frederick, I'll buy the Frederick is back and that will help, but it's not like Looney was the issue. Now, maybe Frederick has things in terms of getting guys organized in the right spot that Looney couldn't do, but I just don't. I think there's still major question marks about their offensive line, and the idea that the offensive line returns to what it had been is probably far-fetched. The offensive line was average, maybe a bit above average, but I don't know that I'm willing to just say that what they're bringing back in the offensive line automatically makes them a better offensive line. All right, I'm Ari Temkin. Hit that share button if you have not yet already. I'd greatly appreciate that. And we'll move on to the main topic at hand today, which is, do you believe the Cowboys are one player away? Are the Cowboys one player away? Are they one player away? And is that Earl Thomas? Is the one player that they're away Earl Thomas? So I'll give you a moment to write your comments, and I will get to those in a moment. In the meantime, I'm going to be sharing this, so if you would do me a solid and do the same for me, hit that share button. That'd be great. And then I'll address everybody's thoughts on this question, which is: Are the Cowboys one player away? Are they one player away? It's a very important question because it dictates everybody's frustration with the Cowboys not doing anything. Like Joseph Candelaria says, so how are we getting better sitting on our hands? Right? So the question is, are they one player away? So hit that up, and I'm just going to hit share, and then we'll see what everybody says. I'm curious what everybody has to say about this. Johnny Spencer, no, we are one head coach away. King Kato 21 on YouTube says Wentz played well enough 2 years ago to allow Foles to win the Super Bowl. Last year he played well enough to allow Foles to get to the play. No, that's true. But Dak Prescott's made the playoffs in 2 of the last 3 years. So Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott have both made the playoffs in 2 of the last 3 years, and only one of them has played in playoff games. So yeah, he's played well enough, but that's not good enough in the NFL to play well enough to get you in there. Dusty Brandon says, no, we're not one player away from a Super Bowl. I'd say 2 or 3 impactful players to who we already have, but not one. We're 3 players away: safety, another wide receiver, and a backup lineman. William White says DBs are only as good as the pass rush. ET will change the game slightly, but we need a better D-line, period. Some people continuing to say quarterback. They're one quarterback away. Rick Shelker says, I'm still waiting for us to go all in. So I do want the Cowboys to sign Earl Thomas. I think he's a difference maker, and there's just no other player like him. I don't care if the Cowboys upgrade in free agency at safety, because I just don't think safety is an important enough position to go out and spend money on that position. Earl Thomas, to me, is the type of game-changing player that is worth spending money on. But I'd rather spend the rest of my money to help improve the offense. Maybe look at some of the offensive linemen that remain unsigned and see if they can help improve, and not just at swing tackle, but really at any position, and have full competitions at right tackle, at left guard, and at left tackle. Because the only guys I think are good to go and great. Great to go would be Zach Martin and Travis Frederick. Everybody else, I have major question marks around on that offensive line. Sylvia Torres says, with the Cowboys' wait-and-see attitude in free agency, they have issues on both sides or three sides counting management. That's what's interesting, because you might not agree with this approach. It's not fun as you sit and watch, the ticker and all these different teams are spending money. Like, it's not fun. But the Cowboys have won the division 2 of the last 3 years with this approach, and they've drafted exceedingly well. So they've made a commitment to the draft, and they've done well in the draft. They have a lot of talent on their roster, and that's all talent they brought in through the draft. Management. So just because they're not going out and spending money in free agency doesn't mean that they have issues with management. In fact, you could argue the exact opposite. You could argue that on the Stephen Jones, Will McClay side of the house, they're looking to the coaching staff to say, we're giving you the players to be successful. Our fans want better players to sign in free agency, but we don't have the flexibility to carry dead cap money over the course of multiple years, and they don't want to. They don't want to take risks signing free agents. They're risk averse in terms of signing free agents. And again, with this approach, they've won the division in 2 of the last 3 years. So while it hasn't netted them championships, it isn't the absolute wrong approach, right? It isn't. Chris Johnson says, look what happened when we took Deion Sanders and the 49ers. Yeah, but it's really difficult to compare generations for 100 reasons. I mean, free agency, or rather the salary cap, got instituted in the NFL in 95. So, the Cowboys' last Super Bowl is the only one they've won in the modern salary cap era. Wayne Gibson says Earl Thomas is running out of options. Robert Anchetta says Earl might want more, but if the demand for safeties is down and the price goes down, he should take an economics course. I don't know what that's in reference to, but yeah, no, I agree. What's interesting is I would have thought, my first thought is Earl definitely wants the Cowboys, or definitely wants to sign with the Cowboys. He just wants to hold out for the best deal. But if he had gotten an offer that was around where he wanted, he would have taken it. He'd be signed. But he's not, which means the offers are probably coming in lower than he wants, which means this could be perfect for the Cowboys, and now they could be in a situation where they're like, hey, every other offer is coming in 12 to 11 to 12. What if you came here for 10? You want to play for the Cowboys, so we'll see what happens. But it's clear that teams that were needing safeties have signed safeties. So we'll see what that means for the market. But the Cowboys, they are firm in where they believe they can spend at certain areas, and they're not going to compromise their ability to have the cash to sign DeMarcus Lawrence, to sign Dak Prescott, to sign Zeke Elliott and Amari Cooper, and the guys they want to sign. They want to sign their own guys. And if they splurge here on one guy, it means they can't sign somebody else. And again, they've made the playoffs and won the division 2 of the last 3 years. So the issue isn't exactly personnel, right? That's the truth of the matter here. It'd be great if the Cowboys had Earl Thomas. He's a stud. He's a turnover machine. He's exactly what the Cowboys need. And I think he'd, in many ways, satiate Cowboys fans who want a big-time player and a big-name player to sign and are waiting for that to finally happen. But this guy's the only guy that matters. Not Dak, the guy next to him, and then the guy the other side of him. If the Cowboys signed Earl Thomas, do we think that they're winning a championship? If the Cowboys signed Earl Thomas and Gerald McCoy and Tyrell Williams, do you think they'd win a championship? I mean, those would be 3 big-time players. They're not signing all 3. In fact, I don't think the Buccaneers are going to end up releasing Gerald McCoy, even though we thought they might. I think it's an interesting comment there on Twitch from Errol the Egg. It's inaccurate, and I can prove it, but I don't need to. The Cowboys aren't one player away, and I'm going to return to basically the first comment that I saw here, which is from the guy with the Just Do It, the Nike swoosh, Anthony Spencer. It's from Anthony Spencer watching. Sign me. And that is, the Cowboys are a coach away. And this is the most important dynamic that we've been talking about really since Scott Linehan was let go. I made a video saying the Cowboys shouldn't be signing Zeke because the problem with Zeke is he's so good and commanded being the 4th overall pick, and then now will command, something north of $16 million annually, and that's just too much money to pay a running back when now you're going to be committed to running the football. Now you become a running football team, which is not going to work. It's not going to work. Why do I say that? People are like, well, look what happened in the Super Bowl. And look at how the Cowboys were eliminated. They gave up 8 yards per carry to C.J. Anderson. C.J. Anderson. The point of all this is to say that you have to be able to run the ball when you need to. But it's not like the Rams won a bunch of games all year and then beat the Cowboys playing one specific style. That's the issue here. The Cowboys and this running football team idea, they cannot be mutually exclusive. That's the problem here. The problem here is you show up on Sunday and they already know what you're going to do, and the Cowboys have had this old style approach of we're just going to line up and we're going to execute and we're going to beat you even though you know what's coming, and that doesn't work. It works over the course of a season. It might get you to the playoffs, could get you division championships 2 and 3 years, but it's not going to win you a Super Bowl. This guy needs to be more flexible. He needs to be something that he's never been. And the hope is that Kellen Moore will force him to become more flexible. And there is a bit of evidence to suggest that perhaps he has or will or did, based on what the Cowboys offense did towards the end of the year. When it was rumored that Linehan was less involved and that Jason Garrett was more involved, code word for now I think we know, Jason Garrett and Kellen Moore were more involved in the offensive game planning when the offense was better, more productive, more multiple. That's what we hope for. But I don't know that that's what we're going to get, because the issue here is this guy, where am I pointing? This guy has given this guy basically an ultimatum in his last year. You got to win or you're out. And you got to win and get deeper than you ever have, or you're out. And so will that guy, with his job on the line, become something that he's never been? Will he take a risk doing something he's never done, which is be more multiple, evolve, be different? Chelsea Lynn Taylor says, last couple of years the Cowboys are messing up. Dez is gone. Now Beasley. We're lucky we got Jason Witten back. Yeah, I mean, I think at this point in time, I would rather have Amari Cooper than Dez Bryant. Now, I can't answer that question on Cole Beasley because I'd rather have Cole Beasley than not anybody. But I need more information in terms of what they do the rest of this offseason to sort of save judgment. And at the end of the day, this is all about the Cowboys coaching staff leveraging the Cowboys' talent. Be flexible. Don't just line up and say we're going to out-execute you. That's the whole. The Cowboys aren't one player away. They're one coach away, or one change in coach that hasn't changed in a decade. And what do we have to suggest that he will finally change? And I guess the good news here is either the Cowboys win and make the playoffs and go to the NFC Championship game and everybody's excited and Jason Garrett keeps his job, or they don't and he doesn't. Evelyn Berry says, yes, bring Jimmy Johnson back and that will solve the whole problem. Holy cow, Jimmy Johnson's in his 80s, isn't he? Chris Johnson says, hell no, he's been the same since we had Bill. Garrett has to go. He's not going to change. I think that's the good news for this season, right? Even if the good news is, hey, it's going to be a wasted season. But the good news here is the Cowboys are forcing him to change. Jerry Jones is forcing Jason Garrett to change. And if he doesn't, then he's not going to get to the NFC Championship game. That's the bottom line here. That's why I argued against paying Zeke. Because Zeke costs too much money and you shouldn't be running the ball that much. Passing is more efficient than running. You're going to score more points over the course of the season when you pass more than you run. Now, you're not going to pass 100% of the time, so you have to have an effective running game. But the amount of money you pay for that effective running game can't be 16 or 17 or 18 million. You can get far too much production for way less the cost. Look at C.J. Anderson. That dude didn't just beat the Cowboys, he beat everybody. He was averaging going into that game 7 yards a carry. So the 8 yards a carry that he had against the Cowboys was a little bit better than what he had been doing the rest of the year. But so much of that is scheme. The Rams had to feel like they were the dumbest team in the world with C.J. Anderson doing what he did and then signing Todd Gurley to a huge contract. Linda Cayazzo, a coach shouldn't have to be scared into keeping his job. Garrett simply isn't innovative enough. Yeah, I agree. And I want to be careful. Innovative isn't exactly the word. Like, it's not, we hear innovative or creative. To me, it's just flexible. Because like the Patriots and Josh McDaniels, they went in the Super Bowl when the Rams defense sort of dictated this into a goal line type offense. That's what everybody was complaining about with the Cowboys on their 4th and 1 miss. Jumbo. That's exactly what the Patriots did to win a Super Bowl this year, right? But it was just the ability to be flexible. It was not a style that they were comfortable running, but they knew at that point in time that was the type of approach that was going to beat the Rams, and it did. That's the idea of being flexible. Don't be a running football team. Be a chameleon. Adapt to your surroundings. Who are you playing? Where can you exploit them? Now exploit them in that regard. The thing is, the Cowboys have been so married to being a team with this kind of an identity. They have an identity problem. That's the problem. Earl Thomas doesn't fix their identity problem. Earl Thomas does not fix the Cowboys' identity problem. Remember that. If the Cowboys don't sign Earl Thomas, it will be bad news, but not the worst news in the world because he won't fix their identity problem. The Cowboys have incorrectly assessed with their coaching staff how to win in the modern era of football, which is you don't get off the bus and say, this is who we are, regardless of seeing who you play. You see who you play, you adjust your game plan based on who you're playing. And that allows you to become more flexible, more bendable, more moldable, and that allows you to change over the course of a season to where if you get to the second half of a Super Bowl and it's not working, you can say, hey, let's do something we haven't even practiced. Oh, if a team is constantly being flexible and understands they have to be flexible, then they're okay being uncomfortable. Best advice I ever got. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. Become comfortable being uncomfortable. It's a great way to live your life. Why? Because when you do things outside of your comfort zone, you get more confidence to do more things outside of your comfort zone. But if you stay within your lane and your comfort zone, you're never going to grow and evolve and learn and grow. I know I said grow twice, but kind of want to emphasize the grow part of it. Brian Herron should have never let Sean Payton go. I guess that's a little bit better than saying they shouldn't have let Tom Landry go. But I mean, Payton left when Bill Parcells was still here. So you're going to fire Parcells to let Sean Payton take over? Seriously? Like, Jerry would have been killed if he's like, hey, instead of letting Sean Payton go to the Saints, we're going to go ahead and we're going to fire Bill and bring Sean and let Sean Payton stay here. Like, that was never going to happen. I mean, had they picked Jason Garrett over Sean Payton, then that's a problem. But they didn't. Payton was gone, and they would have had to fire Bill Parcells in order to keep him. Wayne Gibson. Daniel Lozano says, how long has Ari been a fan? Well, I mean, I've covered the Cowboys for the last decade. With ESPN Austin, ESPN San Antonio, and now as part of 105.3 The Fan, and of course the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Thank you, Robert Anchetta. I would say I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan like I guess everybody is here, but I do want them to do well. I do root for them to do well. When they do well, I do well. So it's certainly within my best interest the Cowboys do well. And I mean, I like a lot of the players. And you get a relationship with the players and you know some of the players, you like them. Wayne Gibson, exactly. You can't be a known running team, known passing team, etc. Must be multifaceted to win in the NFL these days. I mean, that was the commonality. You look at the two worst losses for the Cowboys this year, the Colts and the Rams. Those are two teams that were flexible. Those are two teams that saw what the Cowboys did and adjusted their game plan based on the Cowboys. And then the Patriots and Rams in the Super Bowl, they were like, the difference was that the Patriots made the adjustment and McVay could never adjust to the adjustment. That's it. For a long time, you could just be who you were, and it was about out-executing teams. I mean, that's not going to win in today's NFL. It could get you a bunch of wins and get you to the playoffs. It's not winning in the playoffs. It's not getting you past the divisional round. It's not, as we've seen. It's been the Cowboys' approach. However, as Brian Heron says, they could have offered them the head coach and winning. I mean, Sean Payton's not sticking around for the potential of a future head coaching job versus a actual head coaching job, right? So they were never going to keep Sean Payton unless they decided to fire Bill Parcells. But nobody's gonna be like, you know what? I'll pass up the opportunity to be a head coach today versus the future promise of being a head coach. Garrett was the head coach in waiting, and Baltimore was going to step in and hire him, and man, it would have been great if they did, but they didn't. The Cowboys did instead, right? Mike Miller, if they don't sign D-Law, what measures do they take to fill that void? They're going to sign D-Law. But they're going to go through the same measures. I mean, expect them to be heavy defensive tackle, defensive end in the draft. Here's the question. I saw this tossed around. Would you guys be okay with the Cowboys trading DeMarcus Lawrence for the picks that could get you Ed Oliver, the 3-technique stud interior pass rusher from the University of Houston? Would you rather have D-Law or Ed Oliver? Because I would rather have Ed Oliver. Why? Because D-Law has had 4 surgeries in 5 years. Plus, he's expensive now, whereas you get Ed Oliver in the first round, you got 5 years of him on the cheap. So, I mean, if the Cowboys can do whatever they can do to turn DeMarcus Lawrence into Ed Oliver, I'd be all for that. Because then you can defer having to pay a stud pass rusher, and Ed Oliver is a monster. I mean, he's a beast, and you get him for 5 years on the cheap as opposed to DeMarcus Lawrence, who's had 4 surgeries in 5 years, and he hasn't even had his 4th surgery yet, and is going to be, a $20+ million a year guy. Yeah, I would definitely trade D-Law if I could. But yeah, I mean, in terms of what do they do if they don't sign D-Law, I mean, then they're screwed. I mean, because your 3 best pass rushers from last year, 2 of them are gone already. You can't have the other one gone, right? Randy Gregory, we're not sure exactly the type of punishment he'll get, but the expectation is that, not to really expect him to be around soon. And then, of course, there's David Irving, who, don't expect him to be around ever because he retired. So those, I mean, Gregory, in terms of production, Gregory and David Irving are 2 or 3 best pass rushers. Tyrone Crawford's more of a 3-technique, but if they don't have Randy Gregory, David Irving, or DeMarcus Lawrence, now you've got, I mean, you're basically starting with Taco Charlton and Tyrone Crawford, and your third rusher is Dorrance Armstrong, and he might be the best of those 3, but he's a 6th-round pick last year. So I mean, they're kind of waiting for something. They're waiting for Taco Charlton to be something he's never been. Mike Miller, what's more realistic if we move into the first round? Ed Oliver or Farrell from Clemson? Man, I'm not sure. I would think though, if they traded DeMarcus Lawrence to get into the top 10, they're able to do that. I would take Ed Oliver. There are very few players that I would take over him. And again, that's trading DeMarcus Lawrence to get you back into the top 10 basically. That's the only way I would be trading DeMarcus Lawrence. But Daryl Canoe says hopefully stuff starts happening soon. It's not looking good. But that's the ultimate point of today's show. It'd be great if the Cowboys went out and signed Earl Thomas. It'd make the fans excited. It would enhance the excitement of the season. But the Cowboys are not going to compromise their ability to sign their own guys in order to do it. That might be the wrong move, but that's the move they're going to do. They're not going to sign Earl Thomas if it means they might not be able to sign DeMarcus Lawrence or Dak Prescott or Amari Cooper or Zeke Elliott. Now, I would argue they shouldn't be signing Zeke Elliott because, again, he's too good and he makes you more of a running team. You shouldn't run the ball as much as you'd need to if you paid your running back $18 million a year. That's the problem. You pay your running back $18 million a year, now you have to run at least 50-50, that's the issue. Now you're not going to be a top 10 scoring offense, which, as last year indicates, means you're not going to be playing in the NFC Championship game. You have to score points. How do you score points? By throwing the football. You don't pay Zeke Elliott $18 million a year to throw him the ball more. Tyson, the West Coast Cowboys, says West Coast in the building. What up, Tyson, the West Coast? And that's what, the only thing that matters in terms of the Cowboys' ability to be a championship contender team truly this season is that this guy has to matter. This one. And this guy has to allow this guy to matter. The Cowboys need Kellen Moore to make them more flexible offensively. They don't have to be more creative. They don't have to be more innovative. They have to be flexible. They have to be willing to adjust the type and style in which they're going to play based on the opponent they play. It's not a novel concept. Adjust what you're doing to the team you're playing and their deficiencies. Attack those deficiencies. The Cowboys in the last decade they just do what they do. We line up. We run power rush down at you. That's what we do. That's what the Cowboys do. Power football. It's not going to work. It could get you division championships 2 and 3 years, but it's not going to get you a title. It's not. You have to be more multiple. You have to be more multifaceted, and that's something that Jason Garrett's never been. So we're hoping that Garrett suddenly becomes something he's never been. But more to the point, we're hoping that Kellen Moore can have a great enough influence on Jason Garrett so that Garrett now can become something he's never been. But to me, nothing they do in free agency matters as much as that question. Are the Cowboys going to be a run-oriented football team? Then it doesn't exactly matter who they sign. Because they're destined to go down the same road that they've already been down. Derek Miles says Cole can be replaced. Slot receivers are plentiful. Tavon would make a good slot, yo. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think Tavon has the same skill set as Cole Beasley. So, I think Tavon's more of a take the top off, straight 9 route kind of guy. Cole's not going to be as easy to replace as everybody expects him to be. He's a first down machine. He converts the majority of his catches into first downs. He has really good speed in space. He makes guys miss. The problem with the Cowboys is they probably didn't throw to him enough. So it'll be interesting to see. But again, the Cowboys need to be a team that scores more points. Weird. They were 22nd in scoring last year. Up from 30 before they got Amari Cooper. Well, you don't score more points in the NFL by running the ball more. You don't. I mean, as we looked at last week, they had 11 running plays in the second half against the Rams for 7 yards. Now, granted, you're not going to throw the ball 100% of the time, but it's when you run and against which teams that you run that makes you most effective. Jeff Capone, slot receivers are plentiful in this draft. Yeah, that's true, but now, so there's not a huge sample that suggests that rookie wide receivers can step in and immediately be quality players, right? So if this team's going all in and they're trying to win this year, then replacing Cole Beasley with a rookie isn't exactly the best route to go. And then also the Cowboys clearly need help at their defensive tackle and defensive end positions. They clearly need help on offensive line, right? So yes, they can certainly look at the draft for Andy Isabella or other guys, slot receivers, but now that's taking away from another priority, another position. Wayne Gibson, Beasley's not fast, but quick and get open. He's not fast, but he's really good at cutting in confined space. He's really good at making people miss. That and that alone is the reason he's a first down machine. Wayne Gibbs says, I'd take Abram from Mississippi State. Yeah. But, I mean, that again, so you got Isabella, but where will he be available? You know, is he somebody that if you go defensive tackle or defensive end at 58, which is what they probably should do, you know, then you have to go Isabella in the third round if he's available, or they miss out on him, and then they still need a tight end, obviously. They need a young tight end. So that's a problem is, you know, now slot receiver becomes a position they need to fortify in the draft. And if you're not going to be active in free agency, they're going to sign people, but they're not going to sign people until like later in the week when everybody falls through the cracks. And all of a sudden they're like, hey, who wants a cheap deal? Who's looking for a cheap deal? Which again, we can't blame management. We can't blame management for issues that the coaching staff is basically responsible for. Because management has done a really good job in comprising a roster that's really good. The reason the Cowboys aren't having to spend, like, the Jets just went out and spent tons of money on Anthony Barr and C.J. Mosley. Oh, wait, no, Barr's not going back to the Vikings. But they wanted to spend big money on 2 linebackers. Cowboys don't have to do that. Not yet, at least, right? You know, the Cowboys forever didn't have to spend big money on the offensive line. In fact, they had to let guys walk. But they drafted well. They've drafted exceedingly well. This is the spot you want to be. So people are upset, and rightfully so, because the Cowboys seem to stand pat every year with their roster. Everybody looks and says, this isn't good enough. The problem is their coaching staff's not good enough. And we hope they finally will be good enough. We don't know. We have no clue. Because the one guy that we need to be different hasn't been different in 10 years. So what makes us think that he will be different? Because Jerry's saying he needs to be? Jerry's also saying they're going all in this offseason. What's going all in? Bringing on Kellen Moore? That's all in? It's the one move of substance they seem to have made. Cody Arnold says, I think they're waiting on safety, and there are lots of good ones if one falls that far. But, like, that's, like, okay, let's say they don't sign Earl Thomas. But they sign Adrian Phillips or Trey Boston or like were they one player away? None of the moves they could make matter if their coaching staff is still going to be the same coaching style and staff. If they're not going to be flexible, none of these moves matter. Players and talent only get you so far. Players and talent only get you so far. William White says Hopkins is hinting at Thomas signing with Houston. Jesse Garcia says, can't focus here at work with all this Cowboys talk. LOL, sorry. Chance Mason already spitting the truth. Robert Anchett, if not Earl, I'd rather draft a safety. The Cowboys, and we won't know until after the draft, and even then, minicamp, like rookie minicamps, we're not going to learn what kind of an offense this team's going to run. We're not going to really know until training camp. We won't really know the most important question of the Cowboys offseason until training camp. Cole Peterson, we need more receivers. There's a pretty good market in free agency. Can't rely on the draft for receivers. Agreed. Passing's more efficient than running. Cowboys' wide receiving group now is not better than it was last year. I mean, look, Gallup had a really good game against the Rams. He had a great second half. Gallup I think he ended the year where Terrence Williams was, which is fine. So I expect Gallup will be better this year. I do. Amari Cooper will be better with a more concise role and a more obvious role. And if they go and sign Golden Tate or they do something in the slot or I agree. They need more receivers. But it all comes down to nothing they do in free agency. The Cowboys have enough talent. They do. It might not be what you want to hear because you might look at that and think they don't, but they do. The Cowboys have enough talent to win a championship. They do. What they don't have is the coach to get them there. At least they haven't had the coach to get them there yet. They haven't had a flexible coach. They haven't had a coach that evolves, that adapts, that grows, that changes. Not at least as much as they needed him to. So, you can be upset. You can be frustrated. I feel you. I understand. I'm with you. Yes. But it doesn't matter what they do in free agency or the draft, because we know they're not going to spend money in free agency. We know they're probably going to hit in the draft. And none of that matters if they don't have a coach that's willing to be something that he hasn't been. Period. All right, thank you, everybody. I'm Ari Temkin. This is Showtime on Phantom. Thank you to everybody that's a part of this show today and every day. If this is your first time, nice to meet you, and hope you come and hang out tomorrow, because I do this every day at 12 o'clock. This is not just a free agency thing. This is a everyday kind of thing. We sit here, we talk, we opine on the biggest stories on Dallas sports, and more likely than not, it's on the Cowboys. Shout out to all of you that watch the show every day that are part of this conversation. Danny Easley, Zach Kazos, Michael Wartell, Jesse Garcia, Keith Price, William White, Cole Peterson, Nathaniel Taylor, Ray Pierce, Robert Anchetta, Rick Shelker, Kerry Teagle, Michael Lafferty, Neil Favre, Cody Arnold, Dusty Brandon, Chris Bennett, Sean Moore, Linda Cayazzo, Wayne Gibson, Jance Mason. You guys are all the best. Appreciate you all. Thank you. Love you all. Enjoy the rest of your day. And my apologies in advance if you learn in the next few hours that Earl Thomas is signed somewhere else. My condolences. I would be as disappointed as you all. I will be on the KNC Masterpiece tonight, so make sure to check that out. 7 to 8:30 we'll give way at 8:30 to Rangers baseball, but then the rest of the week at 7 to 11. So me and Corey Majors will have plenty more to say on this topic. Plenty more to say on this topic. So the KNC Masterpiece tonight, 105.3 The Fan. And then every day, 7 to 10 a.m., Sirius XM, Channel 375, the Big 12 Network. So you can find me a lot of different places all the time. Some may say I probably talk too much. Other than that, everybody,